Slightly Above Average Gamers, Way Above Average Podcast. Welcome to the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast with your hosts, J007TV and Sub1KD.
Let's share this.
Did you ever have it set up so people can give us money and shit? Or not yet?
No, actually, you and I need to talk about that. We need to enable two-factor authentication at the start of the process, and that was going to go to your mobile phone or whatever. So I knew you were trying to birth a cow or some shit. Yeah. But yeah, I also talked to Kid about doing some sub badges and stuff like that. I have some ideas for that.
Where's the post I just made?
So that's live. Good.
Oh my God, I can't type today. What did Jay break? Jay didn't break anything. I broke it. I broke things. I had one of my cows make another cow this morning, so dealing with that all day. Yay.
Yeah, no, dude, and I gotta tell you, I hit a fucking wall, bro. I don't know why I'm so fucking tired right now.
Same.
So I got one of those Soda Stream deals with the energy drink in it, so I could get some pick me up, dude.
Lit.
All right,
all right.
Let's hit that jingle and let's go, baby.
Sounds good. Make sure everybody needs them. Things muted. I can see chat, and we can do the thing. Do the thing, Sub. Do the thing.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 92 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007TV, joined, as always, by the homie, Sub1KD. What up?
Not much. Just one of those weeks, one of those days. It's calving season around here, so there's new additions around. This one will probably not be beef. Just had to go buy another one. Pain in the ass.
Why not?
It's a heifer, and it's gonna be about the right time to retire our current dairy cow when this one comes into its own. So about 2 years out. So it's about the right time to have that put up.
Good stuff. Stuff.
Yeah. So worked out. That means it just means I got to go down to auction and buy another one that we will eat. But speed that process up because it's still 2 years out. So it'll be nice. And this one will be like shaggy. It's going to have we mated it with a long-haired, it's not a longhorn, but it's like that shaggy cow that you see on the picture with, you see it at like Target and Hobby Lobby and stuff. It's like black and white. And it's like that long-haired shaggy cow with the horns. Yeah, it's one of those. So that'll be fun.
Nice. How was the week?
It was a week. It was fine. I mean, dude, I spent a good chunk of time learning how to program Python because I had an itch up my butt to do something interesting. But yeah, I think we'll talk about that later. But
yep.
That was fun.
You know what? We haven't actually done a podcast since Tuesday because remember we did Greg's episode, which again, big shout out to Greg Reisdorf for hopping on the podcast with us. That was fucking incredible. Dude, you see the feedback we're getting on that?
Yeah. A lot of good feedback. A lot of positivity. So great to see. Great conversation. That was a great episode. And then we had, what else did we have? Before that, I think we had one other episode off schedule, and then it was God, it's Friday afternoon.
It was Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe was in, yeah. So that was an awesome. So we've just not been on schedule this summer.
Not for Saturday. It's been kind of
a mess, and it's not getting any better anytime soon because next week we're off. We're off as well. What are we doing it tomorrow? Right?
No, we're doing that one on Monday the 23rd.
Monday night. Yeah. So our next episode, we're gonna record it on Monday. I think we'll do that live. And then it'll be out, the following weekend. Jay is traveling this week. I have a busy week. Jay's unavailable Saturday. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know what? We'll just, instead of skipping the episode, we'll just back-to-back a pair of them on the recording side and just spread them out on Spotify.
Well, and hopefully we'll both get a little bit of game time in this weekend. So we'll have something to fucking talk about.
Hopefully they'll do something to give us something to talk about because the current list of stuff to do is getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, it's like that like meme where you see like that stick figure holding a stick and poking it.
Come
It's like,
on, do something.
Yes, exactly, dude.
We're in that phase right now for
But
sure.
but yeah, so it is going to be a busy week. My son is actually on the color guard in a 4th of July parade that they're having early for a community around here.
Okay.
So that Saturday, the 28th, I have to have him there at like 8 a.m.
Nice.
Yeah, and then they're both of my kids are volunteering at Sports World for the church, and they have training. He has training tonight from 6 to 8, and then she has training in the morning. But I also have to get him somewhere. So basically, I'm a fucking Uber on the weekend, and it drives me crazy, bro.
Kids. Yeah, no, it's funny because my kids are finally out of school, but my oldest is straight into a 6-week sports camp, and then she leaves for church camp on Monday or on Sunday, actually. So she's out, she's gone. And then it's, 4 days a week, go drop off, go pick up, go drop off, go pick up. Uber. So fun. Yeah. But that's what's going on here. We're just driving around. We've got spring is in full swing. So we're almost halfway through our meat bird grow for the year. So we'll put a year's supply of chicken in the fridge.
Okay.
In July, end of July, I think. That'll be fun. Yeah. Long day. It'll be a long weekend, but we'll probably have to push that episode too, because I'll be busy that weekend.
Fair enough. But no, this is awesome. I appreciate you being flexible, because that deal with the training thing just like popped up on me, and we thought we could take them both at the same time, and they were like, "Yeah, nope. No, this group can't go Friday." I'm like, "Motherfucker," So
of course,
so yeah,
it always works that way. It always works that way.
Yeah, so it's crazy, and then we're actually celebrating our 23rd anniversary on Sunday with some friends and staying at a nice hotel and everything. So that'll be dope. And then Monday is the actual day, and I took off, and then so good thing I was off so we could do the podcast early, and then I fly out Tuesday to Denver, and I'm gone until Friday.
Yeah, so you're busy. We're busy, sort of. It's just this time of the year. Busy.
Adulting sucks, bro.
It does. It really isn't fun. I prefer no responsibilities, but that ain't gonna happen till I'm too old.
It's like that meme. It's like it shows a kid graduating high school, and it's like, congratulations, you just graduated from the easiest time of your life.
Yeah, and then all the graduation stuff is like, oh my gosh, you made it. It's gonna be so great from here on out. And then you're like, it's just work. You have to work. Everything is hard.
Yeah.
Enjoy. But you know what? It's worth it. Versus people that don't grow up. So I'll take that.
I'm still haven't grown all the way up. I mean, listen, we're both playing video games regularly, and we have a podcast.
My oldest is hitting that age where it's like, all right, you are turning into a young lady, and you are no longer a little girl, and I'm not mature enough for this shit. I really am not. There's emotions. There's stuff happening. I'm like, no.
It's fun.
I was sorting wash and pulled out a pair of underpants and told my wife, "Hey, I've never seen you wear these before." And she goes, "That's because they're your daughters." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Do your own fucking laundry from now on.
That's it. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And let's see what else. Yeah, no, otherwise it's just that work, life, all that stuff. Been a tiring day. I am just brain dead today.
Yeah, me
just
too.
I've spent the whole week either like working, school starting back up again, and then flipping. Yeah, I just had my head in numbers and code all week. I'm like, brain fry.
Yeah,
it's also hot. You ever get that time where it's like, you get that first like heat wave of the season? It's been cold, and now it's like, all right, now it's like 78, 80 degrees, and you're just like zapped.
No, we don't get that here. We go from fucking blizzard conditions to like Satan's oven in Texas. It's almost like there's not really in between. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we're in that time right now where we're in the mid to upper 90s every day, and the humidity is usually around between 50 and 80%. So yeah, it's fucking hot. And so when I've been going out on my walks and doing that, because I've been doing that every single day, and I'm sweating my ass off.
Yeah, but it's been okay on the time. The timeline's not been bad. World Series of Warzone kicks off.
Yep.
Open qualifiers are rolling. So that's good. Yeah, let me think. Anything?
They're kind of in roster mania, or a little to a degree. There's still some people that qualified for LAN last year that are still looking for a roster, which is crazy to me. The team
I feel like everybody put it off.
Yeah, the team I pulled for last year, Aiden, Smith, and DJ are no more. Aiden and Smith are together, but they went another direction, and so DJ is trying to find a team. I'm not sure if he's found one as of right now, but the other day he hadn't. He said they were still trying to do something, and I've seen Brax's. I think his lineup has changed a couple times, and they're also, from what I'm seeing, there's teams that are doing both, and then there are people that are doing a different team for the Esports World Cup, and because that's on Resurgence on Rebirth Island, and then a different team for the World Series of Warzone, which they still have yet to announce where that is. By the way, they haven't announced it.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Par for the course. They probably haven't figured it out yet.
Well, the problem is you got to remember the age group of the people that are playing, mostly that are playing in this. You think a lot of these kids are going to have their passports already? And you got to give more than a month's notice. I mean, it is what it is. Like last year, there were people, because they waited so long to announce it, that didn't even get to compete because they'd already either had other plans or couldn't get their visa or passport or whatever.
Yeah, hopefully they get through the qualifier, and then there's enough time that if everybody jumps on it and gets their stuff in gear once they know they're going, they can be up and running. I mean, last year, what was it? It was like September, right?
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, if it's in North America, I'm going. I don't care where it is. I'm going.
All right.
So
probably be in Texas.
Oh, dude, that would be fucking incredible.
Was it last year? It was in London, or the year before?
It was Vegas last year and London the year before.
Yeah. And then didn't they have technical issues last year too?
Yeah, they did, because they mixed up some of the PCs. That were like streaming PC versus gaming PC. Like there was a ton of technical issues that they had. And
then they let a lot of people go from that right afterwards. So yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting. The Esports World Cup is it in Dubai?
It's somewhere over there. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. That's going to be in the Middle East for sure.
Yeah. So interesting time to travel there. But
yeah, have fun.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, esports are, so World Cup is heating up. Really interesting. I don't know if you caught this. It didn't catch a lot of noise, but they had another issue with hackers on the messing with these esports people.
Yeah, they're getting the codes and getting into the private lobbies, and then just fucking like aimbot and circle aimbot, like spin bot, all of it. Like it's really crazy how this is even possible.
I'm trying to pull it up. I don't remember where is it. I want to get it right because I was interesting to see, because I looked into this because I saw it pop up the other day, and I kind of looked at it, and ironically enough, it's the same person that did the hack, a couple of weeks ago on that FaZe guy, FaZe, whatever his name was, FaZe Fur or something like that.
I don't know. I don't keep up with FaZe. Jay Broski?
No. Darn nabbit, where is it? Anyway, so he's so basically what happened, as far as I can tell, is that he was friends. No, it wasn't Jay Broski. It was FaZe something. It basically I did a video on it.
Lacey.
And it's not Lacey. Now I got to pull up my fucking video. But he basically, what happened was the guy got into his PC and was changing his Spotify around and stuff, and messing with that. and then everybody, he accused this guy of hacking in through the Warzone servers to get all of his information and change his Spotify and mess around with this stuff. And when we got into it, and I dug around, I was able to actually, find out more about what was going on. And the reality is, whoever the guy was, the guy got into his PC through a third party program. And so, I'd made some connections and was able to kind of get the background on it. Well, this World Series of Warzone hack was the same guy, same dude doing it. So he's running wild. And there's a lot of people talking about like, again, we're circling back to this idea that the Warzone servers themselves are compromised. And so I took a look around and asked around, and again, the guy got in through the server. He got in through the server from a friend whose party was open, right? Like somebody who was competing in one of these customs had left his party open, and that's how he got in. So he just joined someone that they were friends in Activision, I guess, or on somehow, and he just joined his party, and then once he joined the party, then he could see the server and he can get into this server and start messing with it. And it's one of those things where it's like, again, like how do people not have their parties closed? Like I don't know.
I mean, I leave mine open, but who's gonna come hack me, right? Like,
but again, you're not competing for the World Series of Warzone.
Yeah, dude. I wish that they had like a over 45 World Series of Warzone. I'd try to compete. See a bunch of old fuckers playing World Series of Warzone.
It would be everybody camping in the corner again with claymores.
Yeah, probably.
And asking for bots.
Did you get to play much at all this week?
Off and on. Let's see here. I played some in the afternoons, a little bit here and there, and the blatancy was out of control. Like it's absurd right now. I don't know what is going on. Some people were reporting that hacks, that maybe Phantom Overlay, that's gone. Hypervision was detected. It's not. There were issues with, I don't know. It's just everybody that I'm tied into, except for Engine Owning, is doing well, and they're alive and well. There are still, the system's detecting people here and there, but it's not by detecting the cheat itself. It's behavioral.
We thought we ran into a couple cheaters over the last couple days or whatever, but aside from that, not really. Got my 50th win this year.
Nice.
Woo, throw a party. It's not enough. So got that done. That was cool. The games have been fairly decent. I'm so bored of these metas. Holy shit, dude. I'm so tired of the Krig. It's been how long now?
It's
been over a month.
Yeah.
It's like it just gets boring.
I rarely use it. I don't like the Krig as much. Been using the FFAR, which is fun. Beats the Krig a lot.
What's funny is like, because I've cut my playtime in half, month over month, and I normally I rush to get those guns, like the new stuff, get it maxed out and all that.
Yep.
I think I've got my FFAR to like a 7. I just haven't been using it. I'll pick it up like when I run my casual or whatever, the one that I run every day. I'll try to use that then until I get load out, and then the other, when I'm running regular BR, I'll pick it up, on the drop or whatever.
Yeah, I like it. It's a lot of fun. It's it's fun. It's mobile. It's not great for longer range, but if you're running a sniper, like it keeps up with it keeps up in the close range. It's got mobility, and and honestly, I've been having fun running it. But yeah, I mean, it's like the only knock that I have on it is it's a flipping ammo hog. It churns ammo. So like, you know, if it's your primary, great for Rebirth. I love it on Rebirth. You know, you push somebody one-on-one, you can rip somebody down pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, you're running your SMG on the back end. And it's great if you I run it with the HDR, of course, which is also does really well. And just generally just kind of try to have fun with it. But the Krieg, I don't know. I don't like the Krieg. It just bounces too much comparatively to other, you know, for like a long range AR.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just bored of it. Like, but I tried to run the Kilo the other day, and that was okay. Like, it's, to me, comparatively speaking, it doesn't feel. And I don't know that the numbers back this up. This is based on my feel. Is it feels like it's a hit marker machine a lot again.
It is a hit marker machine,
and you know, that's it's just, you know, it's just not fun to really use. I'd be curious what weapon. What weapon do you think they're going to bring back with season 5?
Jeez. I don't know. I they might just continue to put out some meme weapons. We might see another SMG, something SMGE.
So I noticed, it's funny you mentioned that. I noticed something last night, and I don't know if it was a glitch or if I'm pretty sure I'm not tweaking, but you know how on like the kill feed where it'll show what type of weapon, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They had the Milano on there.
Where?
On the kill feed. It showed up in the kill feed. So it makes me wonder if there's not some code in there that they're going to roll that gun out next season. I really wish, I want them to roll out. Give me back my Swiss. Give me my K-Swiss, bro. Like, let me have that and I will be a happy man.
I don't know if I've seen the Swiss on any. I haven't heard anything about the Swiss coming up.
God, that gun was so fun to use. It was my all-time favorite Call of Duty sniper weapon. But I mean, I've been using the HDR, and that's been good.
I really liked the SPR. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun in early Warzone, like, you know, like early 2020. I used that a bit when everyone was using the AX50 and the HDR. I was using the SPR. I liked that. But yeah, so played last night, got to run a little bit of ranked, only ran 2 matches and went up like over 100 SR. So that was pretty cool.
I don't think I've run ranked this week. I haven't had a chance. I'm at the point where it's like, I have a narrow window. I'm not going to run ranked, you know, solo playing, right? If I'm on with people, then fine. I just am not on with people very often, but, solo queuing, I won't run it past about 10:30 in the morning my time. So my mornings have been busy lately. I won't run it. I won't touch it. It's not worth it. You're just going to get hacked on and frustrated.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the matchmaking gives you, you know, the wall lickers, teammates, like the guys that, you know, make it to gold and they don't understand how buy stations work and they've never heard of a loadout. They're like, I'm going to buy myself revive. Why? You're just going to push a team of 4 and get smacked and never have a chance to revive yourself. Just drop your money. Let's buy loadout, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. So like my struggle with ranked has been being able to have a squad to actually run ranked, right? Like,
yeah.
Because also too, you got to think about this. Like a couple of my buddies, your buddy too, like Lizard, he's eerie, so I'm not going to fucking run with him. You know,
I don't think it'll let you, right?
No, I could. You can run with anybody now. But I mean, he needs like over 100 SR. He's like starts out minus 100 right off the rip. So that's a different type of game and way above my current skill level. That's for sure. You know, So we're not going to play that. Drade, you know, he's been the main one, him and King, that I've been playing ranked with. But, you know, aside from that, we've only got to do it, like play a couple times. I've only played ranked this season twice. And so I'm not getting to actually play ranked, which kind of bugs me because, you know, we're talking about the playlist and it's like they took away the main mode that I normally play, just because, you know, people are doing their own thing or just not on the game. So I've been playing a lot of like a lot of solos, and because they took away, regular solos in the playlist, which they said was supposed to be a 2-week experiment, and it's extended to damn near a month now. So, and like Drade said, that shit ain't never coming back, dude. I don't think it's coming back. Not in the form that it was in. No way.
We'll see. But clearly they like what they see with solos, because it's still here.
I refuse to play it. I'm not doing it. So I've been playing solo Resurgence, which that first day tricked me, dude. That first day I dropped 17 and got a solos win. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then the last 3 times I have run that, dude, I have been just getting absolutely shit on. Like, it's welcome
to SBMM land.
Yeah, it's been fucking terrible. And then I've run some solo duos, like no-fill solo duos. And then we've kind of screwed around with that World Series of Warzone playlist just because you can play trios in it. We didn't sign up or anything, but we're still running in the playlist. So that's been cool. And then
how's that in terms of
the first time we were in there, we thought we might have made it into casual because we ran into some bot ass teams, dude. It was wild. But and then quads, when I've got 4, that's been fairly decent. I mean, the matchmaking hasn't been terrible. The only bad thing I think that I've really experienced, besides getting shit on in Resurgence, the last 3 times I've played it is, dude, I went on a run where for the life of me, I could not win a gulag. I couldn't get out of the gulag. It was that way for like a whole week.
Yeah, I've done well. Gulag has treated me pretty well. I had one. This guy was way above. We were playing ranked, and he was way above my skill level. Like, he was pinballing around, and he decided to get cute, and he was trying to knife me. Like, he closed the gap, and he was trying to like get a knife kill on me, and he I got him because when I went to go knife him, and I mean, I had him pretty close to one shot, so I probably, if I had connected with the knife, I probably would have gotten it anyways. But he had his back turned to me, and my knife him in the back turned into an execute him in the gulag.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
And that made me very happy because he was like Mr. Movement. Like, he was just pinballing all over the place. I think I hit him 4 times with the striker, which is pretty close to a down. But he might have regened a little bit in between because he was moving and grooving. But I was pretty close to being toast, and then he got his, and I laughed pretty hard.
So Drade's been trying to get me to do that the knife strat in the gulag, where you just basically throw smoke and then you use the knife because it's better than the pistols. I died like 2 or 3 times in a row trying to do that, and I finally got one in ranked last night. I was so fucking happy, dude. Like, but yeah, like the gulag has just been rough, and it's me. I'm not blaming the game or blaming the gulag or any of that. It's just me. I've just not hitting. I'm hooking a lot of shots too, is what I've noticed too. So I think I need to spend more time in the range.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, it's one of those points where it's like everybody's sweating their balls off, and ranked has been ranked. It's been a little interesting. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's, we're just in that weird period where they're not doing much. It's kind of like, come on, do something. And they're like, what? We took away solos for you, which, they could delete that entire mode and I'd be fine. It wouldn't bother me at all because I just hate the entire experience of playing ranked or playing solo. I just don't enjoy it. It's not fun to me. I'd rather solo into a quads thing, like into quads, and just play with some randos and see what happens.
That's the way I feel about playing with randos. I refuse to do it.
Yeah. So, but otherwise it's been, I don't know. We're in that period.
It is a weird time. Like, I think this is the 3rd time that we've kind of gone through this part of the COD cycle since we've been doing this podcast. And because I mean, if you think about it, we'll hit 2 years doing this podcast in July, middle of July. And that's like fucking the doldrums.
This will be our 3rd game that we've done the podcast on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So yeah, I mean, we're just kind of at that point in the cycle. I'm praying some new games come out. What are you thinking about some of the rumors for Black Ops 7? Are you, from what you saw, are you?
Okay, so originally, so I am not a future tech guy. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't, you know, let me back that up. Games that bounce around in their time periods, right? In my opinion, they always blow it. It always feels like trash. They always do too much, or they take what works for their game and their genre and their player base, and they just totally fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And like COD especially, there's so much copium being huffed these days about like some of the Black Ops and Ghosts and all of it, and all of this future tech stuff, and it's like the games are objectively just bad in my opinion. Especially when you compare against games that were built that way from the beginning, like Titanfall. You look at Titanfall and you look at like Black Ops, Advanced Warfare came out right same year as Titanfall.
Mm-hmm.
Titanfall was a lot of fun. The whole game was designed around that era. You had mechs, you had all these elements that made sense, and the levels in the gameplay were designed from the ground up for that. The Advanced Warfare's movement felt like it was just bolted on, and they just made the levels taller. Like it was. I quit the franchise over that game because it was so fucking bad. And then you threw in loot boxes on top of it. It was awful. And so, the rumors of being like, oh, we're going back to that. I'm like, all right, Battlefield, how we doing? But COD blog came out earlier this week. They're not doing it. They're doing like a wall jump or something like that.
I think it's probably like similar to, evidently Gears of War has had that wall bounce thing for a while. As one of their mechanics. So I think it's going to be similar. That's going to be a
macro in about a hot second. And people are going to get real tired of it really fast. But we'll see. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, they're dabbling in the future stuff. It's not my thing. I don't love when they do that. I think future weapons, unless they're like, it's like if I want to play Star Wars, I'll play fucking Battlefront. You know what I mean? Like that's just that's where I land on it. Like I play COD because it's, it feels realistic. The guns are modeled realistically. The physics is, believable. Right? Aside from the fact that super soldiers can't climb rocks.
Not in like fucking ankle high rocks they can't even get over in this game, dude.
But I mean, that's just like, it's not for me, and that's fine. Other people disagree. And when when they eventually go back down that road, I hope everybody's happy. Everybody that likes that stuff is happy. Like but it's not my sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. There's mostly rumors. A lot of the rumors are kind of iffy. Co-op campaign, I think, would be good. As long as you can play it without going co-op, as you can just solo it, which I'm sure you can.
That could be good for like when you get to the part of the cycle, like where we are now, where like it's kind of things are fucked up in like Warzone or whatever. You just go over and play that for a few days just to kind of like get the blood pressure down.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit.
I could see something like that. Yeah, something like that being the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not one of those. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like they're not exciting me with this game. But I think a lot of that has to do with how, kind of like how World War II and Vanguard did not excite me either. I still played it, but
Vanguard didn't. I didn't. That's the one that I didn't buy on release. Because I was trying to play Battlefield 2042, which we don't even have to get into that. But as far as like how I'm feeling about just the game in general currently and the future one, I'm kind of at a point where I'm just kind of meh on it. And the reason why is all this nonsense of the fucking bots in the game. I'm just kind of like, if that's the direction we're going, it just doesn't really do it for me. Like I can't get excited about that. So, obviously it's going to depend on like how they do it and everything. And we've talked about this and, but I don't know, just the idea of killing bots. Like, if I want to do that, I'll go play a fucking RPG, or something else.
Yeah. I mean, I know we had this further down. I guess we're right here. We might as well segue into it. So I alluded to this at the top of the episode and kind of the pre-chatter. Basically, I've been trying to read tea leaves. We had that episode with Greg, and he, there was a segment where we talked about bots with him, and he was very adamant that he would have, if he had the choice, he would have put bots into. We would have had bots in MW3, like even in core multiplayer. And it's kind of like it lines up with some stuff that I've been thinking about and watching and contemplating. And the more I poke at it, and the more I like unwind the circus of bots in games, the more it makes sense to me. Because it feels like Activision is aware that their algorithm-based, skill-based matchmaking system is not working. And I've done the math, and we've talked about this before, where if you take a just curve of skill, right? Like if you just create a bell curve of skill and you make game and you put that together, the vast majority of players like will just have fun. Like they'll have a enjoyable experience based on random lobby construction, and the odds of them getting slammed every time, like off rip by some 2 KD monster team, very low, extremely low, like not quite lottery level low, but low. The problem is that when you take that model and you start stressing the conditions, like that's under ideal conditions. When you start stressing the conditions, especially when you churn players and you just kind of like, the player base in November is very different than the player base in March. And we got those numbers a couple of months ago. And we've talked about them here, where it's like, overall, the game loses 40% of its players by March, right? And I think it's pretty clear based on what they've said in their white paper, what common sense dictates, and what people are reporting is that, that 40% is going to be predominantly in the lower skill player base. Like they just don't want to, they show up, they play for a while, they get the shit kicked out of them, and they like go home. And they move on to something else. Okay. And across the industry, that's normal. Most games, the history of gaming, right? Most games are profit front loaded, right? They make a game, everybody likes playing it. They make the most money that they will ever make with that game in the first 90 days. So the incentive to deliver on day one and then basically not give a shit 3 months later is high. It's very high. Traditionally in a traditional games market, right? We're not in a traditional games market because the profit of the game is not front loaded. I mean, it is, but it's not like that's not the majority of the money that's made from it, right? Like that's they pay themselves back, and then it's MTX from there on out. It's live service, and live service changes the game. You can't front load a live service game and have everybody show up in the first 3 months and then quit, right? That doesn't work because then you don't make any money, and so that's why free to play has to be very cognizant about retention. And so old CODs didn't give a shit. If everybody quit after 3 months, so what? They save money on servers. Like at the end of the day, like
they already had your money.
You bought the game. It's done. They made money off of you, and you are from there on out. You are a lost asset, unless they can convince you to buy it. So then DLCs came out, and they started convincing you to buy DLCs, right? And then it turned into loot boxes, and they convinced you to gamble. And then they said, well, forget that. Here's cosmetics. And so past CODs didn't have to care about retention. They just wanted you to purchase it up front. They wanted everybody to love the game. That's why campaigns were so good, I think, back then. The campaign was a bigger seller than multiplayer. Everybody, the casuals bought it for the campaign. Then they'd play multiplayer for a few months and get the shit kicked out of them and quit. Which is the typical, and that's common for games. Look at every other game that's been a smash hit. You look at Hogwarts. You look at, what was that other one? That Baldur's Gate, Elden Gate, Baldur's Ring.
I don't know.
Elden Ring. There we go. Elden Ring comes out, right? Smash hit. Everybody, nobody could think about anything else for like 3 months, and now it's like, all right, that was fun. moving on. And that's just normal. Like, that's just how games work, right? And so live service changes that and makes it a retention game rather than an initial purchase game. And so the problem with that, of course, is in order to work retention, you have to keep people playing the game, which means that you have to matchmake better than the old days. The old days, you could just have distributed servers, matchmake everybody, randomly based on location. And then once you're done with that, and then you just pair the teams up based on recent performance, right? And especially for 6v6, it makes a lot of sense as long as you don't care about retention. The good players will continue to play the game. They will continue to have fun, right? And other players will kind of come and go, and it'll be what it is. But the corporate strategy overall doesn't really care that much, right? They're moving on to the next game. They're already preparing the next purchase for you. But in the current systems, which, again, are free to play based primarily, or they are monthly or seasonal pass systems, those are all retention systems, right? Like, if people aren't completing their season pass, they're unlikely to buy the next one, so they won't MTX that. If they're not going to buy the next one, then they're not playing enough to earn the stuff, right? And if they're not earning the stuff, then they can't compete because they don't have newest weapons, and it becomes a thing. So it's about, the matchmaking is designed, it ends up being designed around the idea of keeping players on the game longer, because that's how the game is now being measured. It's not sales units at the beginning. And the problem is that when they launched this system, Call of Duty decided to use an algorithmic based matchmaking with the intention of trying to balance lobbies so people didn't get blown out and they didn't quit. And they talk about this in the white paper, and I've crunched numbers, an unhealthy amount of nerdism, and I can't disagree with them. I can't. Like, I've built models, and I've asked computers to quantum mechanics and voodoo stuff and try and figure out, like, what are the odds that someone will just stick with a game when they're getting shit on and improve versus quit. And it's almost unanimously they'll quit. It's probably 5-7% of all players that will stick with a game for an entire year that are below average, that are going to, with the goal of improving to average or better. And which, of course, which is one of the worst things, because it's a sliding scale of, like, what's average. As the bottom quits, the average moves up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a lot of stagnation that ends up happening in the models, and it matches fairly closely what they describe in the white paper. So I think that part of it is true. They lose a lot of players over time. Greg called it churn, which, if you've ever been in recruiting or, in HR or anything like that, you're familiar with employees churning and all of that. So, the player base churns over, and, we've seen it in the numbers. 2 out of the last 3 years, it's been about 40% quit the game by March. And the outlier is when the 40% didn't even show up to the game and they gained 100,000 players. And so when you start crunching it, you have to somehow find a way appease 40% of the initial player base to make them want to keep playing. And for the last 5 years, 6 years, how long has it been? 2019. So it was the 6th year now we're in this. Ooh. And they've been trying to algorithm it into oblivion, and it just doesn't work. At the end of the day, random matchmaking only works if you have a strong bell curve of skill, and majority of them need to be average or below. Like, it just, the math says it. The math makes it clear. Like, it doesn't matter what I do or how I mess with it or how I twist it and bend it and try and make the math work out. Like, in order for random lobbies to work, is you have to have all of these. You have to have enough players, right? And then what Activision has chosen for the last 6 years has been, screw the top players. We're going to make them play World Series of Warzone, And then the middle players, the average and slightly above average players are kind of the cannon fodder, because you're just going to get fed up in skill, irrelevant of whether you earn your way up there, as they need to protect more and more of the bottom part of the player base, right? So these protected lobbies end up growing in size, right? So if you're a bottom 20% player, you're just going to get screwed no matter what. The games will just get harder for you, no matter what. And then if you're like that kind of like middle 20%, right, average to like that thing, you just kind of get pulled down, or I guess the bottom moves up, and you just kind of become the protected bracket for a while. And so, I mean, it's kind of nice, I guess, but more people start getting pushed up into more difficult skill brackets. And so, I mean, their system just is, by March, April, like the system's miserable for everybody. Like everybody has a hard time except for the very, very bottom people. But the people at the top end of the bracket, they will always figure out how to break the system, and they get to go play the bottom people. So then the bottom people don't have fun either.
Dude,
so everybody has no fun unless you're doing like 9 different accounts all linked together, and you daisy chain them up, and you do some crazy stuff, and you go cast a voodoo spell, and then you get into like a decent lobby. That feels like it should be normally.
I have a friend that told me this week he has 3 boxed, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding? He's like, yeah, the lobbies sometimes are bot-ish lobbies. He said, but it's not quite like it used to be. The 2 boxing was, but I mean, we're not being Activision apologists by any means, because honestly, I feel like for the really great players, and then for us, there's really no good option. There just fucking isn't. We are the demographic that they literally don't give a fuck about. They don't care. And it sucks, because it's like either embrace SBMM the way it's been, or play with bots in your lobby and feel nothing. So what's the alternative? There is none for us. There is none for us.
So the alternative is look at Fortnite, right? So Fortnite, at the same time 2019 launched, in 2019 Fortnite introduced bots, and there was a little hit and miss. The press seemed pretty okay with it. The player base, I went back through various subreddits that are still around, and other comment sections, and people were pretty pissed about the idea. But Fortnite grew from that over the same period that Call of Duty has declined, arguably, from their peak at 100 million players in a month for the original Warzone during the pandemic. They hit 100 million players at that point, which was cool. Fortnite grew 400 million players. They added 400 million players to their player base during that same period that Call of Duty has slowly dwindled and kind of stagnated, right? Like, it's never been as good as it was during the pandemic. In Fortnite, they've just been adding players. Like, their player base is they have, according to every public resource, such a bigger player base. Now, whether they're as active all the time, I don't know, but it is what it is, right? Like, they're able to retain players at a higher rate than Call of Duty has, because they've grown during that period. In Call of Duty, they, aside from the launch of MW2 / Warzone 2, and then almost immediate demise of that era, they've struggled to retain players. And whether that's a factor of their product, a factor of their matchmaking, cheating has been probably about the same across both games. It's just not, for whatever reason, what Call of Duty is doing now is not working. It's not working. And I think they are trying to ease their way into changing their approach, where they will probably, use a mix of bots to fill lobbies depending on what they need. And I think, I did a video on this earlier where I modeled it and kind of messed around with it, and it does improve the lobby. It does make it better for pretty much every demographic. Good players get in there, and they have a, their strength of lobby. They don't have to have a World Series of Warzone lobby strength, right? But they don't have to two box, I guess, is how I'd put it, right? Like, so right now it's like, you see Dick's two boxing into a lobby that players who honestly are worse than the boot camp bots and running around and acting like that's fun, which that looked, it's one of those like, all right, I guess if that's fun. But you look at the way the system works out in the models, and they have control over it, right? So it's like, and Fortnite this is the way Fortnite does it, right? Where if you don't play very often or you're a terrible player, Fortnite will scale up the number of bots you face. If you're a high skilled player and you play consistently, it scales down, right? And the bots can adjust in ability and caliber, and so they're able to generally retain players. And then in ranked, of course, you have only human opponents. Versus Call of Duty, where it's just the matchmaking is hell. It's been hell for everybody. I don't know of anybody at any skill level that runs around and plays regularly more than just a couple of hours, maybe a couple of hours every couple of weeks, right? And honestly enjoys it. And even if they do hop on after a couple of weeks and they have one good game, then they're screwed for like an unknown amount of time, right? Like they're just going to be tossed, oh, you had a good game out of protected brackets, and now there's no span of skill in the regular brackets, because the regular brackets are just slammed, right? And it gets worse when you have casual and regular modes. And that's kind of the thing, Jay, that's the thing you're talking about with solos, right? You want regular back. If they don't have enough players to fill out because they're running both modes, then you're not going to want to play solos. You will just not play. It'll be like last year where you're like, I just would rather not play. I'll play a different game than get, pub stomped by a matchmaking algorithm that is designed to hate you. So it's one of those things where, at the end of the day, if, it's your unless some, and it's telling that nobody else has a better idea, because nobody's tried a different thing except for X Defiant, which just clearly worked so well. The system with AI versus the system with the algorithm is on paper a big improvement. And it's one of those things where if they can manage it properly, and it's like, unlike casual, right? Where they're all bots. Like you just are surprised when you run into a human player. Like if they're able to find a way to calibrate this better, where there's a sliding scale and the lobbies, instead of filling the lobbies with 1.4 KD players, because that's who's available, and just making the lobby really, really, really difficult for everybody. Because that's what happens in the models, right? Like when I cut the bottom part of the player base and I boost up, the lobby, what ends up happening is, the number of players who are, a very high skill, arguably a high skill player, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 KD over, their lifetime. Like, and you fill the lobby with them and you don't have enough players that are like below average, then it's just, that's when you get the lobbies where everybody's beaming, everybody knows how to use movement, everybody knows the map really well, everybody knows the rotations, everybody can shoot their guns, everybody understands rotational aim assist, right? And so there's no there's no breathing room. You're basically playing, you have to play full out, locked in the whole time, because everybody else is doing that too, right? And they're capable of it. Now there will be better players and worse players. But it's like you see some of the players that just get, you run into a 4 stack of 1.3 KD players. I don't care who you are. You're having a very hard time getting out of that in one piece, especially with today's game. And so if you don't want that experience, then there has to be a different system in place than the algorithm that we have now. And that's just that is just, and that's not even me like trying to argue it for or against it. I'm just looking at the numbers and the models, and I'm trying to do, like I did originally when I said, hey, SBMM doesn't work. I did a whole video on it, and I set out in that video to prove that it doesn't work. Right? Like that SBMM benefits the lot, benefits the game. And when you have enough players and you have the bell curve of skill going on, it doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Like that's how it is.
What's wild to me though is they adjusted the TTK at the start of Verdansk and to make it faster for the quote casual players, so they might be able to get a kill. And then they also add in a mode with bots. It's pretty clear the way the pendulum has swung. And we've talked about this before. Like when the pendulum swings too far one way, either too sweaty or too casual, the game is fucking terrible. It just is. And so there's gonna have to be a way, like if they can do it like you said about with Fortnite and things like that, then so be it. Personally, and my thing is if there is another game that's good and they do, and Call of Duty goes the bot way fully, I don't know how much of it I will continue to play because it's not appealing to me, dude. I'm just not, it does nothing for me. Like I'm a competitive person, dude. You know this. And
I know.
So, I don't know. I don't know the way to fix it. I just know that
I mean, the way to fix it is to only play the game for 3 months at the end of the day. Like, I'm serious. Like the end of the day is if you want to have a good experience in the game, you play it for 3 months, 4 months tops, and then you find another game.
Right.
It's the only way to get through a live service era game, and you wait for the next game or you wait for the next season. Maybe you pop in for like 2-3 weeks at the start of a season, you play for a bit, and then you go play something else. Like that's how you have a game, because you have enough players playing at that time to make it to have enough spread in skill where you don't have to be slammed into these little brackets, or you're stuck in, or you be really, really not good at the game and you just live in a protected bracket where you basically play people who don't know how to play the game. Like those are the two spectrums of how to have fun in these kind of live service games with algorithmic matchmaking. Because as soon as you lose the bottom half of the player base, as soon as they stop playing the game, then anybody who has any skill and has any capability of playing the game at a 12-year-old level or better, like you are thrown to the wolves, or you are the top of the spectrum. Like those are that's the two options that exist outside of like the I don't know how to play the game version, right? So if you are having an easy time today playing the game, you are bad at the game by definition. Everybody else has to work exceptionally hard to play the game, like to survive in the game. And so, it's a side effect of, the natural attrition that comes from these sort of things, which, is how these multiplayer games have gone since the beginning, right? Like since we've been able to play online, that's just how it's gone. Like you have a dedicated core player base that will always play the game, and they will always be very good because they play the game a lot. Like it's what they do. And then you have everybody else who traditionally play the game for a while, and then they move on to the next game. And the problem is right now, we don't have another game. There's nothing like Call of Duty out there right now. Battlefield hasn't put up a good... God, J-God did a thing where he asked people, like, when was the last good Battlefield? And I think it was like Battlefield 1 was the most recent good game that people pointed to. And that's been 12 years.
I didn't even give that game a chance, like the World War I one. I didn't.
It was fun. I had a great time playing that.
I didn't give it a chance. The last Battlefield before 2042 that I played was Hardline, and they completely jumped the fucking shark with that game. Going cops and robbers instead of military or what. So yeah, I didn't give that game a chance. And you're right. We say this all the time, like not having a true competitor for Call of Duty and Warzone specifically is why the game gets in the state it gets in, because they can do whatever the fuck they want with no consequences, because they know most of us that are addicts are going to still fucking play.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's like I look around and it's like I've tried Apex. I don't enjoy it. I don't like hero shooters.
I've
So
uninstalled that game. I've installed and uninstalled that shit like 7 times on my PC, bro.
yeah. And I played X Defiant for a while. It was fun, but it didn't go anywhere. Like they just, they had some content parsed out, but it never attracted a lower skilled player base. So, the game was from day one challenging to play. And even though they didn't use, skill based, skill in their matchmaking, if you don't have, again, the bell curve of skill, then it doesn't matter if you use skill based matchmaking or not, because the game is hard for everybody. Unless you, again, at the very top, and then the game is much easier.
I played it and did well on X Defiant. Like I had no problems with it.
I think I think I ended even.
Yeah, the only reason I quit is because my friends. I quit. I would still, if I had people that were playing that game today, I would play it occasionally.
You were the only one that I ever got to play with. Nobody else that I normally play with played that game. They didn't even try the demo.
I didn't like the roles. Like, I didn't like the abilities. That's the one thing I don't like in a game. I don't want abilities. I don't want specialists or none of that nonsense. I mean, originally Battlefield did that, right? Like with they didn't have abilities, but they were roles. So
there were roles, right? And you had variety within the role. So like in Battlefield, so you could have, so like a mechanic could repair a vehicle, a medic could pick somebody up who's down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but they weren't things that needed countering, right? And I hear through El Grapevino, people that have played the playtest have said, allegedly, that the game plays really well. It is very comparable to the old style Battlefield, where you don't notice it. I have been told by people who have played the game things like, if anything, the classes are a little watered down because they don't even, in the most recent playtests that people have mentioned, they don't even do things like limit weapon classes. So
Well,
you can have a medic with an RPG and an LMG running around. And
they're about to go to alpha stage too, though. So what? So I know Jigsy played the playtest. He played a couple weeks ago, and he said it was good. He said, but they're not even in alpha stage, so like this is not going to be like the finished product. But he said the destruction was good, if I remember correctly. Like the movement, like everything felt good and felt like a Battlefield. So that gives me a little hope, to be honest.
Yeah, let me think through what I can say and what I can't say about Battlefield coming up. It is very unfinished, very unpolished, and looks amazing in that state. The gunplay is very challenging compared to Call of Duty. Call of Duty feels like a children's game compared in terms of like the gunplay and the recoil and the challenges of playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it feels on controller. It feels very good. Aim assist is not super overpowered. Unlike Call of Duty, where you're just magnetized to somebody, the magnetism isn't there nearly as much. And I don't know if that's, I can't say if that was part of the test of that person experiencing it or what. Like I don't know if that's design or not, right? Like I have no way of knowing that. And then things like, let's see what else. Things like the classes and the weapons and the feel of it. It felt more grounded, I'll say. It's if compared to Call of Duty, it's slower and more technically challenging, but also in a lot of ways more rewarding. The sniping is fantastic from what I'm told.
It's not easy to snipe on Battlefield. It never has been. Not like it is over here.
Yeah. And what else? I'll be
right back. Keep talking.
It's so it has potential. It has all the right building blocks as it was described to me by people who played the game. that it has all the right building blocks for a really good BR. It's one of those things where the game felt good. I want to and I want to circle back to the idea of aim assist. The thing about it that people think they need is they think they need help shooting. And the problem is that when you have lower magnetism, it's actually better for worse players. When you have lower magnetism and you have actual recoil, for bad players, it's actually better. Now, it's more difficult if you run into good players because they will smoke you, but they'll do that no matter what because they're good players and you're not. But if aim assist is not as strong, right, and guns are more challenging to use, then people miss more shots. And so if you are using an easier to use weapon, right? For example, you use an LMG that puts a lot more bullets out. So even though you have a higher, miss rate, you have more bullets to use, then you will have a better time. But if you use a higher skill weapon like a higher skill AR that has more recoil, is more difficult to use, and the aim assist isn't correcting for you, right? It isn't magnetizing. Then you can be more successful. And so the way that it actually works in practice is that you end up with fewer kills as an average player in something like a true Battlefield experience than Call of Duty. However, you end up with fewer deaths because your survivability is significantly higher, right? Somebody 150 meters away is not going to beam your lights out with an AR, because you popped your head out. But that happens in Call of Duty because aim assist does a lot of the work for you. It magnetizes to the player. So and the magnetism actually helps counter recoil. It helps you counter the recoil that is also somewhat limited in a game like Call of Duty, right? So when you step foot out of a building and somebody, a ways away starts shooting at you, your ability to recover from that is minimal. And especially with people have lower skill, right? So the tendency is to have people will probably end up with an equal or maybe even a slightly better KD, right? If they use the appropriate weapons for their skill, but they will have fewer deaths, right? So like, a bad player will probably have fewer kills than they would in Call of Duty, but they'll also have fewer deaths, right? Because they'll be able to recover from gunfights that they're mismatched in. And so it becomes a different kind of balance. But I think the survivability of a game like Battlefield, right? If that follows through into their into the BR, which we're supposed to start seeing soon, files have been added to the current dev build, is what was leaked online relative to the BR. So we should start seeing BR stuff from the tests coming up. Mm-hmm. But like I was saying, the survivability in Warzone is very, very low. Like the TTK, right? The theoretical TTK is low, and people achieve close to the theoretical TTK way more common than they don't, right? Like that's very common to be close to that theoretical TTK in Warzone. I think in Battlefield it won't be, right? So bad players who are going to miss their shots anyways are still going to miss their shots, right? However, average okay players, right, slightly above average players will miss a lot more shots. So actually for bad players, they're going to enjoy their survivability more. Players of like Jay and I skill will struggle until we get used to the weapons and we can adapt to it. And good players are good players and they're going to kill everybody no matter what. It doesn't matter, right? They're good players. That's just how it works. What's really going to get exposed is how many people are good players because they've mastered aim assist and the rotational aim assist in Call of Duty. And when they come to a game like Battlefield, that segment of players will struggle the most because they haven't learned gun skill. They've learned aim assist. And that will be exposed very quickly. And, we've seen that. We've seen clips of that in other games that have weaker aim assist where they struggle, right? And so I think the nature of Battlefield is such that there are going to be guns that are easier to use. Players of lower skill will close the gap and take engagements at closer distances. and higher skilled players can fight from farther out and close, close together. But overall, the survivability will be better, right?
You know what I think is going to be the biggest W if they do the BR like rumor has it?
What COD has to do as a result?
Nope. The fact it'll be a W for them because it's not going to be tied to a yearly release. They don't release Battlefields every single year. So we're not going to have to deal with a lot of the same bullshit that we deal here where, it's this constant wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. And so if EA can do it right, it could be very, very good. Now, what I have heard, and I don't know if you went over this while I went away, is that I've heard that there's a potential to come back. Like there's you get like one extra life or something like that to come back. I don't know if it's gulag or whatever. So I've heard that, but I heard something about loadouts potentially being in there, which if they do that, for fuck's sake, that's terrible. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't feel like a multiplayer simulator, then it is what it is. I just can't imagine there being too many game breaking metas over there, comparatively speaking.
I think they're up to 50 something guns. So hopefully there's a lot of stuff to mess with. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I've heard versus things that I can't speak on. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that. I think I don't know if it's going to be loadouts like Call of Duty does it, but I think you might be able to pick up certain weapons. I know that there's some in-game weapon adjustment that was rumored.
If I remember correctly, and I could be wrong about this, I didn't play a ton of it, but PUBG has a world loadout drop that you can actually have a pre-selected loadout, I think. I could be wrong about that. If anybody knows in chat, let us know. But if I remember correctly, that's how they did it. And if that's the case, if A, I'm right about that, and B, they did something like that in Battlefield, I could get jiggy with that.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see here. I think I think it is pre-configured weapons, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with the leaks in Battlefield because I haven't been as interested in it until pretty recently because it feels like they're kind of trying to come back. Feels like they're doing it right at this stage. And it's a long way between now and then. So who knows?
When is that? Is that going to release? Not this fall, is it?
The latest it's expected to release is March.
Okay. I think that would be that's the fucking time.
Well, I don't know. It depends. So another potential rumor / things they've kind of set up in Call of Duty is shifting the Warzone timetables.
No, now if they do that, that might not be the time.
Yeah, because we could get a new map. So kind of what they did right now, right? We had supposed to be end of April, early March. End of April, right? But that April March timeframe. If we drop if we're dropping what's it called, a new Warzone map at that time instead of trying to line it up with the game, which I think is ideal. That's how it should be, right? You want to roll the weapons in, that's fine. You can launch the new, the new COD comes out. You roll the weapons over. I would love to see them kind of maybe keep 2 games worth of weapons at a time, right? So you bring up you add in the current ones, and you retire 2 years ago's weapons, right? So in this case, you retire all of MW2, keep MW3 and Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7 rolls out at launch. You integrate, phase 1 integrate or something, and you drop off MW3 weapons, and then you roll with Black Ops 6 and 7 weapons. And then after the new year, March, April, right? Kind of after you've lost the 40%, it's a great way to bring them back, is to bring them back in with a new map and do something, that way Warzone kind of can boost itself up, and then you have, you have something else in Warzone to look forward to without having to wait a full 12 months.
So I didn't get too excited about the rumor that was going around that they were going to keep Verdansk for casual and that we were going to get a blackout too. first of all, I'm not that fucking lucky. So I didn't get too excited about that. I mean, would I like to have another crack at Blackout? Like, yes, but I just don't see it happening. So like that rumor that was going around, I didn't put a lot of stock into it because it's just, I just don't see it happening. We're too far gone down the fucking loadout rabbit hole. Like there's no way.
The amount of screaming that took place over the removing loadouts from MW2, Warzone 2, I think killed any idea that they would ever do that again.
The first 6 weeks of that was the best of it until they did the ranked play. But so, we've talked about this a little bit before, when you start talking about, trying to be casual friendly, I'm telling you, the most casual friendly way to do it is to loot for your attachments. Everybody got, you know what I mean? Like not color coded, but you get a gun and you get attachments, you put it on, and then it's up to you to kill with it. Like that's the most casual friendly, like the best way to like keep it, above board for people who rarely play. Cause then they don't have to worry about, oh shit, I don't have anything maxed out, especially now. Cause you can't buy shit. You can't buy guns in the loadout in the buys. So yeah. I got friends that hardly play and they hop on and they're fucking praying that they didn't, do a big change on the meta yet. Like, so yeah, I think that would be the best for them, but they're convinced that they they have to have the loadout crutch. So it'll never change.
And I think too, that comes from there's also a balancing issue, right? Like, if you want to sell MTX, you do loadouts and stuff. I mean, I think it would be, if you had I would like for them to redo systems where the weapons were much more similar to each other. There weren't as many meta standouts. And then the cosmetics were just that, cosmetic, like universal cosmetics.
That's how it was in Blackout, dude. It was strictly cosmetic. Same thing with Apex. You're not paying to win over there. Everything's cosmetic. Same thing with PUBG.
I don't mind switch, but that's the thing, right? With like blueprints, it's all cosmetic. I think, if they, I mean, let's put it this way, right? Like right now, like there are a lot of weapons that are still viable. People aren't using them because it's not popular, right? But on paper, you can, the Krieg isn't like runaway.
No, good. It's not runaway, but it's still, you can tell a difference. Like it's still a little better. I might fuck around and run. Well, never mind. I think I'm running with Lizard tonight, so I'm gonna stick to my meta shit.
Max it out, right?
Yeah, I may as well just fucking run. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm already at a disadvantage as it is. Like, don't put myself at a further one.
I think it's interesting how the different approaches to like what's good and what's not, right? Like, because right now it's like, there's good, but there's a lot of stuff that's like really good. So unless you are playing in his lobbies, like there's a lot of weapons that will hold up and have different pros and cons to them. And we've been through periods of this where there's multiple guns that people will use. Like we had, when season 3 launched, it was like everybody gravitated towards the Kilo. You saw the Kilo everywhere. And it's like, when you look at the Kilo on everything other, everything about it on paper, it wasn't anything special. Like it was just the Kilo. We all knew about it. The only reason you saw it everywhere is because it was given to you free for logging in, and everybody had it unlocked and they weren't grinding through the battle pass yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have the AMAX. They didn't have everything else, right? They just had they had the Kilo, and the Kilo on paper wasn't really any better than the Cypher. That wasn't out. The GPR 91 is good. What was the other one? There was another one that was really good. The Ames 85 is still good. And it was like, but it just got overrun. And then, the AK-47 ended up being out of balance, and as an SMG, people ran that, and that was good.
I think I actually got killed by an XM4 the other day, like a loadout one, and I was like, good for you, like much respect, and go fuck yourself for killing me, but good for you for using a non-fucking meta weapon. But yeah, the SMGs right now, I mean, the LC-10 still stands out, in my opinion, over everything else. That gun is the LC-10 is very good. Fun gun to use. It's fun,
I like using it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I mean, as far as sniping goes, it's the HDR. That's it. You know what I mean? Like that's legitimately it. That's what people are using. Dude, I had a stretch of matches the other night where I could not find anything but a fucking LMG on the drop, dude. It was like literally every game. Like
The XMG
one
is
night.
big on the drop. They're everywhere.
I wasn't even finding that. I was finding that fucking, damn
GPM, DPMR,
yes.
PKZ, whatever the hell that thing is called. Yeah, I know. That thing is terrible beyond 30, 40 meters because it just moves all over the place.
And it only has 50 rounds.
But you know what? If you run it as an SMG because you don't have anything else, it's fucking great.
Oh, Jesus. Hey, did you see J God's fucking tweet?
No.
About the Akimbo strikers? He's
yeah. He's
run these. They're broken before they update them.
What a troll.
That I mean, is that not legit?
Dude, no, I don't think it's legit. I think he was being sarcastic.
Really?
It took him a while to get the down. He was killing it. Let me look at that again.
Oh, there was a video with it, wasn't there? Because I only saw the tweet, like the text.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's trolling?
I think he's trolling.
Fucking J God. Dude, I remember, man, I'm telling you, I've said this before. He roasted my ass. I used to get so irritated, like seeing his like meta fucking shit on the timeline. I'm like, God, you're helping to break the game. And now it's like everywhere. Like everyone is doing that.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, again, it remains one of those problems where it's like, okay, if you want to do, it's one of those problems where if you want to mess with, like, if you want to play the game these days, like, look here, you know what? I have, because we all like to talk about it being like the good old days, right?
OG.
We like to talk about the good old days. I have the J God of MW, the original MW2, right?
Dude,
the official
those were the
strategy
days.
guide. For those of you listening, I'm holding the original official strategy guide for Modern Warfare 2 2009. And in it, they have the weapon stats that were as good as we all got back in the day. The intel charts, those of you watching, you will see what we were given back in the day. Like, this is it. This is what we had to work with.
That was awesome.
This was the J God. And so you could look at the little graphs and kind of get an idea. But like, there was no, TTK concept. Like, we didn't talk about TTK. We didn't have all that stuff. It was
no metas, no TTK, none of it.
Oh, but there were metas. But there were definite metas.
I
But,
never paid attention to it, dude. I swear to God, I ran what I wanted, and that was it.
Of course. Everybody did, because you just looked at the little graphs and you kind of played around with it until you had something that you liked well enough, right? But you didn't, like, nobody, except for, like, the top players, and they gatekept the shit behind forums and stuff back in the day, because, that's how it was, right? But, like, but nobody sat down and did the math on it. They just rolled, and you did it the analog way. And the analog way was, oh, I fought somebody and he kicked my ass and I died really fast. Like, that gun blew me out of the water. What is that? Oh, let me try that. Oh my God, what the hell? This gun sucks. How did I lose to that? And then you try, and you just go that way until you find one. Oh, I fought this gun. I killed it quickly. That gun sucks. I fought this guy. I killed it. That gun sucks. I fought this gun. I died. What was it? I died to that again. All right, let me try that gun. Oh, I killed everybody else with that gun, right? Like, and that's how you found the meta, right? You just, the guns you stop losing to, in a fair fight, right? Like, then you found the meta, right? And that's just how it used to be.
And we will
never. Go ahead. We'll never go back to that. It's done.
Yeah.
Like,
no, we're
never going back to that.
No,
so,
and he's right here when he says, and I think this is kind of to your point to a degree, the COD player base has changed more than the games have. That's a fact. Changed in mentality too. And to me, that's the worst part about it.
Well, and also don't forget, the majority of the goal is to play the game all year instead of play it, 3-4 months.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then wean off, right, and play other things. Like, it's just the world is different, and hopefully we'll get back to a point where studios stop fucking it up, to put it, excuse my French, and actually start putting out good games again. When was the last time we had like a game where everybody, like a multiplayer game where everybody's like, God, that game's great and it's gonna be around? Splitgate's already bleeding players.
Is it?
Modern War. Oh yeah, Modern Warfare Marvel Rivals is already filling their game with bots. People are already pissed off about it. So
think they
in
were
case you're
doing
wondering,
that
they do
off the
they've
rip.
been doing that from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But now people are running no more bots unless they're playing ranked.
My friend just got Marvel Rivals partner apparently.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
But it's just one of those. It's one of those things where it's like, it's just not the same world it used to be. And everybody wants the same world that it used to be, and that world is gone, right? It's like, GoldenEye was, great for its time, but nobody does that anymore. And so, we have to look forward to how things are going to be, and it's like, hopefully Battlefield is going to hit this middle ground where it's like, it's a fun game, it's enjoyable. As a BR, because I think we're suffering from, kind of a BR drought.
Yeah. I heard that Vampire BR is actually pretty good. But of course, you got to keep in mind that's coming from my homie McGregor. That dude's got like gaming ADHD. He never fucking stays on a game more than like a month. I love him, dude. He did my intro track. He did my win track, all that, dude. Like, that's my dog. But yeah, that boy is all over the fucking place when it comes to games and stuff like that. But no, I hope that their BR is good too. I wouldn't mind being able to have a break from Call of Duty, and Warzone in general, because I think having something else to go to I think it'd be great for my blood pressure. Which I'll point out, the only thing that's raising my blood pressure right now is the fact that I can't play fucking regular solos. That's it. Like, I'm actually having fun in the game. Like, I'm legitimately having fun.
It's those Texas servers
in the game.
They put something in the server there. Yeah, but no, I don't know. We're just in this drought of like great games to play, and look, I don't know how they've done it, but Treyarch has managed to snatch defeat straight from the jaws of victory twice now with this game. Because at launch, BO6 was great. I had a great time with BO6 at launch in multiplayer. I had a lot of fun with it. And then when Warzone dropped, it's like everything fell apart. Warzone dropped like a lead balloon. It was frustrating. And then Season 3 rolled around. Season 3 was probably the best launch Warzone's had. Probably the best seasonal launch Call of Duty has had since MW29, since Warzone launched. And then Season 3 Reloaded just sank it. And Season 4 did not do much to improve it.
I don't really blame Treyarch for a lot of this. I blame Raven. Because they're the ones that oversee Warzone ultimately.
You know why I blame Treyarch for it?
Why?
When was the last time they gave us something to play for?
Well, they're clearly they are outclassed this year when it comes to that by Sledgehammer from last year.
They're not even trying. They're not even fucking playing the game. They're just like mailing it in.
Yeah, and I will say that the store offering this year is dog shit too. Like fucking Hammerhead Shark Operator. Like, who gives a shit about that? Like,
if you look at the different studios, like Infinity Ward had so much more stuff that was worth playing for in the MW2 life cycle than they had more in a month to play for than Treyarch has had at all. Like, this whole year, we've had one event that was not gain XP or pick up shit off out of boxes. Like, that's been the totality of Treyarch's events, right? Oh, like right now it's like, oh, just keep playing and get XP for everything you do. Congratulations, you completed the event. Aren't you excited?
But is that a result of the metrics shift in playtime and retention? Like, is that why?
But they haven't had it at all. They didn't even have it at launch. At launch, it was the same shit.
I mean, look at like your free gift every day. It's always a fucking XP token. I mean, like I have so many of those, and I swear to God, if those don't roll over to the next fucking game, dude.
Facts,
Dude.
But you know, and here's the thing, right? Like, on the one hand, I don't know if I'm, I don't know if that's better than a sticker or a fucking, I don't know, charm or something that we got before, which I never used any of them. It's just like, oh, that's nice. Thanks.
Like cool calling cards or something, like,
But I mean, at least it was something. Like they put some kind of creative mind into it, even if they just like had AI make me 55 stickers that I can just give out every week. Like, this is just like every couple of days, and here's an XP token. And here's the problem that and this is what I want to throw on Treyarch. Why I want to throw it on Treyarch, and Raven gets the pass. Raven, the one event that we had that was a lot of fun was the safe event, which was fun not just because it was an interactive and an enjoyable thing where you had to hunt these safes. It wasn't, just it popping out of boxes. You had to hunt them. It took a little longer to open. It was a process to open the safe. They were high value targets, and you had the skin that was random. So there was a reason to keep playing, right? Besides just the progression of opening enough safes, right? You were trying to get the skin. People spent who knows how, people spent all kinds of time trying to figure out, like, how do you get the safes? What's the trick? What's the secret? What do you do? What, how to make it work, right? And so there was a lot going on with that event, and that made it fun, right? And that was Raven's event. That was Warzone. It was only in Warzone. Treyarch got their hands back on things, and it was back to the same bullshit, right? But the only reason that the XP tokens, that they're even giving us the XP tokens, is that they've ground progression to a halt. It takes so much longer to get through the battle pass, to level weapons, to up your XP in your standard XP.
I think that hasn't been XP. Right for a while, dude. Remember we talked about that.
It's been bad since day one.
Yeah,
and that's Treyarch, and that's Treyarch's retention system, is to just make you have to grind just to get the stuff you want at a basic level. They've made it so painful to get anything because you have to play so many hours, and it's all hours based, right? That you just sit there and you just grind and grind and grind to get the basic shit, and then you have to grind the basic shit over and over and grind and grind and grind just to like make it usable,
dude.
Right?
The animated...
I have guns that are Gold Tiger, and they are what is the multiplier one? Mastery.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Whatever that's Dark Matter, or is that Dark Matter? Whatever.
No, that's zombies.
No, whatever. The multiplayer Mastery camo. I'm done with that, and I have it gold in Warzone, and it's not max level. I'm not done with the gun yet. I don't have everything attached. What the fuck? Like, talk about a way to fuck the game up. Like, that's the shit that has to go, right? That's the shit that makes the game hard to play for casual players and most players in general, because they have to grind just to be usable, or they have to buy a bundle. Dude, like, take your pick.
Last year, the animated camos, like, or the reactive camos,
they were so
fucking
good.
Fire, especially that Obsidian one, dude.
Yeah,
that shit was fire, dude.
They just kept giving us stuff to do.
It was good. And
you know what? MW3 had great retention. They had so many issues. They had issues. Like, don't get me wrong. I was so sick of the Warzone gameplay loop repeatedly. I was unhappy with how they handled BR. I do not, Resurgence isn't my jam all the time. I'll play it, but it's not my favorite. But we got maps. We got, we got a couple of different Resurgence maps. We got Resurgence ranked. We had every week we had events. We had weekly rewards. We had so much that they just kept throwing at us, where it was like, great, you got a gun, you leveled it up really quick, then you could do camos on it, and you could do all this other stuff, and but there's always something to work for, right? And it was always challenging to work for, right? Every week it was like, all right, you get 25 executions, get 10 kills while sliding, whatever you do, like, you're just doing that for stuff, and if you do it enough and you're consistent with it, then you get a reward at the end of the season, right? You got a seasonal camo, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that system was brilliant. So if you want to retain players, give them stuff to do.
Let me
right?
ask
Give them
you
a reason
this.
to play.
Let me ask you this, though. Do you think that this model changed in order to keep players? You know what I'm saying? Like keep people on the game and grinding rather than, with the double XP tokens and all the bullshit they're giving out. I mean, do you think that it changed for that and that they just maybe miscalculated? Because if you really think about it, we've been told that people who are casual or don't hardly play don't give a shit about grinding camos and stuff like that.
Well, that's why you can grind camos at the beginning, right? But it takes fucking forever. So like the whole point between grinding this stuff is retention, right? That's why you have to grind battle passes and you have to grind out weapons and you have to grind. If you want to keep playing, if you want the meta, you have to grind the battle pass. And this is the first battle pass where one of the weapons isn't out of reach at the beginning. Every other season that we've had so far, like one of the weapons is kind of unreachable, even if you buy Black Cell, right? Because you get 20 tier skips, but you can't even. It's not even 5 tiers. There's 7 tiers now, or some bullshit like that. So you're like, so basically, what they do is they stretch the amount of grind that you have to do, even if you pay for it, right? You have to be very specific to unlock everything, and you can't unlock everything through that. And you could do that last year. You could pretty much get everything unlocked on your first try.
That system was better last year for the battle pass too.
Yeah,
I'll
and
say
now
that.
it's like you can skip ahead, but
well, I don't even like
if you go back to the beginning, the original battle pass, right? The first 20 tiers had the weapons in it. Like they were all front loaded.
Yeah.
So you could basically just play for like a couple of days and you'd get to them. And the battle pass moved quickly, right? This year it is like sluggish. It's I don't even know how many hours I have, and I'm only like 60% through. It's ridiculous. Like how slow it moves. But it's the reason they keep feeding you tokens, right? Every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days, they give you a new token so that you can speed it up because they want you to come back. But in order to get it, you have to come back, right? It's all about retention. Like this whole game is designed retention first instead of gameplay first, which was MW3. MW3 was gameplay first, right? Like everything was built around gameplay, about you getting in the game, having fun. And and from day one, the matchmaking was a problem in MW3. And I said it at the beginning, and I said I think it's a financial flop. I think it's hard, and the matchmaking was challenging that whole year because they didn't have a low skill player base that showed up for even a few months at the beginning, which kind of helps balance it out. It was just a hardcore player base that showed up for it because that's who it was marketed to. And I think the I think that the player count that we saw from that company, Info Wars or Infotainment or something, I forget. I gotta look up who put it out, but I think they played it out right. They didn't have a 40% drop off because they didn't have that 40% show up to begin with, which I think was fine because they just made the game they wanted to make, and it was fun to hear Greg talk about it. They just like, we're going to do what we want to do, right? And people will play it or they won't. And I think the game itself, when you actually got past all the noise, was actually good. It was well done. I mean, they didn't do anything for the VR, which so fuck me, right? But overall, the game itself, when you take the totality of the game, the multiplayer and everything they did added in after launch, it was such a better game at the end than it was at the beginning. And I think the player count shows that. And so, hats off to Sledgehammer for being able to do that. Unlike Treyarch, which, they had a great opportunity and they've squandered it. They've just given us an underwhelming, at best, game.
I wonder how much of that also has to do with the fact that David Vonderhaar is not with Treyarch anymore. Because traditionally Treyarch games have been very good. I didn't play Black Ops 3. I boycotted that one, but Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and Black Ops 4, along with Blackout, were incredible. I thought that what was that? Cold War was another good one. Like, it was a good game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wonder how much of that is because he's no longer with the studio. He's with Bullet Farm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think it's really hard. You know, like it's one of those things where, I mean, we heard from Greg, we heard kind of that mentality, you know, on the software side of it, like things don't always change drastically that much when somebody leaves, because there's like an institution in place, unless they bring somebody in who really just is like, we're going to do things really differently. And like, you even look at like Apple, right? I mean, I think Apple's fallen. I think it's fair to say that Apple has fallen off quite a bit since, you know, the peak Steve Jobs days, but it wasn't right away, right? It was like, you know, Steve Jobs was there and he brought people in. He brought people in that had that like mentality, right? That shared the vision, that kind of understood where he wanted to go with things. And so when he wasn't part of the picture anymore, like they just carried on and they could keep doing it. And the change kind of became gradual, right? It became a gradual slide away from the visionary, from like that kind of visionary like idea, right? Like the leaps weren't there. Sure, it wasn't like jumping miles ahead. Everything was like an iteration of what we had, right? And we've kind of like, it's become a joke, right? But it didn't change dramatically year to year, right? And so, you know, losing one person long term can make big changes to things, right? And kind of change the mindset. But I don't know if it's like the kind of thing that would just like overnight trash everything, right? Like it just all of a sudden nobody knows how to have vision. Nobody knows, like, did one guy had all the vision for everything? That's not usually how it works. That's not the kind of thing that comes out of, like, that's not how this stuff is designed usually.
Well, you know, I think Bronson could have potentially have a point. I mean, who knows? Maybe the cycle next year, maybe the offering next year is better with Black Ops 7.
Well, Treyarch got kicked off of it. It's Sledgehammer back.
What?
Right?
No.
Didn't I read that?
No. Black Ops is always Treyarch. They might be helping with some of it, but Treyarch is the main studio for Black Ops.
See, but I mean, again, if we have another year of this, it's going to be Battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Again, we focus on this podcast primarily on Call of Duty, specifically Warzone, but we also talk about other games too. And, we want to play other games. And if if Battlefield is good and their BR is good, we'll be talking about that a lot, because I am a Battlefield fan. I had 1,900 hours in fucking Battlefield 4, and I enjoyed that game a lot. So I'm hoping that they get back closer to that, like the way that one was done. And, that was the good old days too, but before I ever knew about algorithmic bullshit that they'd put in these games and fucking the matchmaking nonsense. Like, I never knew about any of that. I just hopped on and competed. Didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Anyway. So we'll see. It's been announced. That's about it. We haven't gotten much beyond that. But
can I ask you this?
Yeah.
How do we fucking do this? Because this afternoon when I'm sitting here trying to think of like how to line out this episode and like what the fuck we're going to talk about, I'm like, dude, we'll probably last 35 minutes with what, with what, and then we turn this shit into a fucking almost a 2-hour episode. That's
because we just love to bullshit.
Pretty much.
That's what we're good
getting
at.
The flow too, kind of get into a rhythm.
So, but I think it's one of those things where at the end of the day, I mean, we still don't know enough about what's coming to really have a firm opinion on BO7 at this point. Like, we don't know enough. The leaks are leaks. They're wrong a lot. See jetpacks and wall running.
You know what? I don't really care. I just want a good game, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just a good game, and whatever happens. And I still am happy with Black Ops 6. I have a ton of several days in that game. I just haven't really been interested in playing it lately. Just mainly because everyone's playing Warzone or playing something else. So solo queuing in there is a miserable experience, and I refuse to do it. So that's why I'm not playing it. It's not because I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, and I, to be honest, when it's good, it's good. Like season 3 was some of the most fun I've had in this game since before Caldera. To be honest, I think, season 3 was one of the best seasons we've seen. But we've got us. Season 5 has to be something special, like at this point, because we're just in. I don't know. We're getting into the countdown period where we're just counting down. Everything is about the reveal and the COD Next and the World Series of Warzone and stuff that's not actually about playing Warzone, right? And they're just gonna let it. It's like right now we haven't gotten we haven't got a weekly playlist,
dude.
We're 2 days late on that.
I gotta be honest. I'm kind of exhausted by this cycle. Really, like it's exhausting. It's literally wash, rinse, and repeat zone every motherfucking year.
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, it's they're still in a release cycle like like the old days, right? They still release a game every year. And but they're trying to force the game to survive for 12 months.
And they're trying to do it through Warzone.
Well, yeah, Warzone, but also they're trying to do it by changing everything every year. It's like when you have shit that works good, fucking use the shit, like keep using it. Don't ditch it because, you got to do something new because otherwise, you're just paying $70 for a new roster update, right? Which is what EA Sports has become, right? Every year, here's a new roster update. By the way, we changed the color of the basketball. Yay.
They still don't have college football on PC yet. That's crazy. I would play it. If they had it on PC, I'd play it.
I've never played a sports game on PC.
I mean, I've played Madden some, but so they're putting more new games back, more games on the Battle Pass, or on the Game Pass. So you see that World War II
comes out.
Call of Duty World War II is on there, man. I might at some point hop over and play that campaign because it was actually pretty good. I liked that game. The only thing that sucked about it was the first day, and like we talked about it with Greg, and how the headquarters functioned.
Yeah, which never really worked out the way they wanted it. Which was, it is what it is. At least they tried new stuff.
Yeah, no, it was great, and I mean, like even he said last week, there were some things that they didn't, that they talked about that they never were able to actually deliver on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the headquarters was actually kind of a cool thing, especially the 1v1 in there that, we talked about. So yeah, that'll be on Game Pass.
Bro.
Yeah. And then, going to the post office, like the mail center, and I think you would get stuff through that. I think they would give you like a blueprint through it or whatever.
They were trying to do like Destiny, which was cool. Like, I remember because I played the original Destiny and I'd actually bought it because EA cut the mode that I played. They cut EA SHL the first year, 2016, was it? Because they were switching over to the Xbox One, I think. And they just were like, yeah, we're not going to include that mode this year. I'm like, well, fuck you. I canceled my pre-order and rolled it over to Destiny. Played that for a while.
I did
interesting.
Too. I told you I would go sit, and I think it's what it called, the Citadel or something.
Yeah.
That game, honestly, I think is the most beautiful game I've ever played so far.
It's pretty.
Like graphically, it is just beautiful. And I got to the point where like my buddies would keep grinding that shit while I was out of town, so it wasn't fun to play anymore. Because if they grinded it and you didn't, like you're going up against like their skill level, and it kind of sucked. So I would just I'd go to that Citadel, sit out there and look at it and just bullshit with my buddies and drink beer.
Did you ever did you play the multiplayer version? Multiplayer?
I think I played it a few times. It was okay.
I never really. I'd play the campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was okay.
Single player, but yeah, it was yeah, so it's fun to see the stuff coming out and getting kind of like a better treatment in terms of like being put on good servers and like not being left to rot, which is nice.
Oh, by the way, I was going to tell you. So there's somebody on TikTok that I run across. Like I'll be scrolling through. Homeboy's still playing Blackout, bro. And I'm like,
load in. You guys can be buddies.
No, dude. I heard you did. Aren't you the one that told me not to on PC? You said the old games are chalked.
As far as I know, the old servers are still kind of whack.
Listen, if that were true, like if it weren't chalked like that, you can bet your ass I'd be throwing a couple Blackout days every week. Just
go on eBay and buy an old Series S and just plug that into your PC. Just play it there.
Dude. And then I got to think about everything that we had to go through with this Rodecaster. I'm not fucking.
Oh,
with
you
this.
would just add it in. You just plug it into your other mic port. That's all you'd have to do.
I'm good,
but yeah, I mean, so we'll see. Like, I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I'm very interested to see their plans for BO7. Interested to see how Battlefield is going to run over the next a little bit. Hopefully we get good information about their BR coming up. Looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting to see what they, to close the loop on the whole bot conversation. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. In theory, it could take the pressure off of everybody from fucking hating the matchmaking. Could at least complain about the bots instead of the matchmaking.
Oh,
change up the timeline a little bit.
You know what Drade? you know what Drade made me do last night that I fucking felt so dirty. He made me pop a fucking advanced UAV in casual mode. I'm like, God damn, dude, I have more self-respect than this.
You know what? You know what you should do the next time you want to do something fun? Try to run that in just like pick one weapon, like some off-meta weapon, and just run that.
Well, I mean, I'm not really playing that mode for fun. I'm playing it to just go into warm up, move and shoot, and then I'm on to the next thing.
You want to make that mode challenging where you have to actually work your ass off. Try playing it with a pistol only.
Especially these pistols, because they're dog shit. Can we talk about that for a second? Are these not the absolute worst pistols in Call of Duty history? Because I feel like they are.
Grey Cove is not the worst.
They're just not good.
Doable.
I mean,
they're not great. Yeah. But what do you want? Do you want them overpowered and broken, or do you want them?
No, I just want some decent pistols to use. No, I don't want them broken. I don't. But like, can we get a new pistol like to start with? Because
we haven't had a new pistol yet.
Yeah, like I would love to, and there's no reason they couldn't do the 9.2 FS because that was out in the 80s. So like, and that was a standard issue for the military back then. It was the 9.2 FS.
Well, I mean, that would involve them putting a new pistol in the game. They haven't changed the pistols at all.
No, and that 9mm piece of shit, I don't even know what. It's got.
I think
my
favorite is the magazine is so small. Like if you miss like one or two bullets, or you hit too many limbs, then you have to reload before you can get it down. So you can't even like single fight. And so it's like it depends on how the reloading goes.
Yeah. But anyway,
I don't know. So it's just one of those episodes where there's just nothing to Somehow we made a 2-hour episode out of nothing to talk about. But it's just a struggle to continue grinding out the game because it doesn't have the same, like, they're just not able to keep it up all year. Like at the end of the day, they're not there yet. And, hopefully we'll get some other games roll up. Marathon's not going to make it.
Yeah.
RIP
That's
Bungie.
Delayed indefinitely, I heard.
Yeah, that's another way of probably saying it's canceled.
Yeah.
Because you stole the game art from someone. Nice. Good quality control on that, Bungie. I get really ticked off when they steal art from people instead of generating their own, or even just fucking asking AI to do it at this point. Better than stealing it. But yeah, we just continue to not have
Options.
much to play. Like, we're still playing COD because there's nothing else to play.
Yeah, why do you play the game if you complain about it so much? Well, fuckface, it's because I don't have anything else to play.
Yeah.
You know? Anything I want to play.
Unfortunate, Netflix has been getting more hours than COD has.
Dude, I legitimately have cut my playtime in half. In half.
Yeah.
Since April. Like, and, I'm getting to where it's like I'm on like 3 hours and I'm just fucking done. I'm over it. Like, so.
My, I do laugh because I'm still getting stuck in lobbies where it's like, my teammates all speak Spanish. And I was complaining about that last night. And my teammates, Carlos and Guerra and all of them start giving me a hard time. I'm like, well, why'd you join our party?
Well, dude, hey, think about this. So I've been seeing this on TikTok before we wrap up here. Like, there's a headset like that can actually instantly translate. How long do you think it'll be until that shit comes to gaming?
Never.
I think that'd be fucking awesome.
It would be awesome. And then everybody would be banned in their native language because the game would understand what they're saying.
Dude, I'll never forget one of the first, like when I first got on Xbox Live, I forget what game it was. It was like within the first year, but like we get into a lobby and there was some German people in there. And I'm like, I was like, you Kraut bastards, we kicked your ass in like World War II. And like just being a complete fucking moron, dude. Not racist or anything, but like just talking mad shit to them. And that was my first, like one of my first voice comm things. But last night, dude, I was in lobbies with like fighting against Spanish speakers. And it was so fucking distracting. I couldn't hear shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And yeah. And it's like, I remember like back when SOCOM came out on the PlayStation 2 and it was like, it came with a modem so you could actually plug in and play online. And then it was just like your ear was just, you learn new slurs every time you logged in. Back in the good old days.
I've been called a putra madre so many times, bro. And I don't even, like, I had to ask somebody what the fuck that meant.
If you sound like a white guy, don't repeat back stuff you hear in another language because you will get banned for that. Just throwing that out there. It's word to the wise. And on that, going to let you ponder on what that means for the rest of you. I think it's over time for us. Appreciate everybody rolling in. Thanks for hopping in. Love seeing you. And if you have any, of course, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, all of that. If you're not on Twitch yet, we are kind of shifting towards Twitch because, it's a little easier to monetize that. And so we like money because this stuff ain't free, but we love doing it. We love bringing it to you guys. Appreciate everybody.
I'm about to go live.
Yeah. Catch Jay on his Twitch. Twitch.com or twitch.tv/JW07TV. And you can catch me on YouTube and both of us on Twitter. And I am everywhere at Sub1KD. And I will catch we will catch you guys on the next one.
This has been Sub1KD along with J007TV and the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. We're logging off now, so we'll see you next time.